Happy Holy Hump Day on this May 11th, everyone. I'm Pastor Robert. Welcome to this midweek time where I can share some spiritual thoughts and reflections with you. I'm here in our fellowship hall space because tomorrow night at 6 p.m. we're going to be resuming our Thirst event. And Thirst is where we have a potluck together beginning at 6 p.m. We begin with prayer, and then we go ahead and have our meal. And then toward the end of our meal together, we ask a person that we had already invited to share their testimony with us. And so they share for about 15 minutes how God has guided them throughout their life, how they have a relationship with Christ, and how they're living out their faith. And so tomorrow night, it's going to be Dr. Bradley Naylor. He volunteered to share his faith journey with us. So we're excited about that and the resuming of our Thirst event. And one of the things that I really appreciate about Thirst is we really get to know each other when we hear each other's faith journey. So I think that's really important. And that's something that we do encourage people to do at Athens First United Methodist Church. We encourage people to share their faith with each other. One of the ways that we do that is through our small group ministry. Our small groups aren't so much Bible studies as much as they are opportunities for people to share their faith in a safe environment. And so I wanted to share a little bit about why I think it's important for us to share our faith with others. So I wrote down some notes here, which I'll refer to. But the first reason is when we share our faith with others, it just shows how God is very present in our lives. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is it also shows us the diversity of our faith journeys. And there are many different kinds of faith journeys, and I think that's really good. Some of us have more of a gradual and steady relationship with God, even from childhood. Others of us have maybe more a recent conversion story where we came to faith maybe later in life. Some of us have very dramatic stories of faith to share, and others of us have maybe not so dramatic stories to share, but they are very important no matter what kind of faith journey we have experienced and are experiencing. The third thing, reason why I think it's important for us to share our faith is that we get to know each other in a deeper way and not just maybe on a surface level. And then the fourth reason I think it's important for us to share our faith is our stories of faith remind us to be more conscious of how God is present in our day-to-day living. The more we share our faith, I think the more that we are consciously open to how God is at work in our lives. So people have asked how they might go about, sharing their faith journey with someone without making it an hour long. And this is something that we share with people who volunteer to share their faith journey, like at a Thirst event. So you can just break it down. That is a helpful way to do this. And even if you don't have plans to share at a Thirst event, this is a healthy exercise, I think, that can help you reflect on your own faith journey. So the first thing is, I would encourage you to just look back on your life and identify those formative events that prepared you to have a relationship with Christ. Maybe it was your baptism at whatever age that might have been. Maybe it was a loving church family that cared for you growing up in the church. Maybe it was a family member. I often hear people tell me about a loving grandparent or a parent or an aunt or an uncle that were very instrumental in helping that person to have a relationship with Christ. So how was God present in those formative events, looking back? The second thing I think is helpful in having a faith journey to share is think about the events or circumstances where you said yes to Jesus, where you really committed yourself to following Jesus. And then I would say the third thing is, how are you living out your faith now? How is God using maybe your interest, your vocation, your other kinds of hobbies that you might have? How is God at work in your life through those kinds of things? So those are just some thoughts for you as you think about your own faith journey. And they're all important. I love that there's a diversity of faith stories to share. So we talk a lot about sharing our thin place moments here in the church. You know, how have you experienced Jesus in your life? And especially in recent days or weeks. And I think that's a healthy exercise to do. So keep sharing your faith with those around you, whether they be dramatic events or not so dramatic events. It's always important, whatever experience you might have where Christ has been made real in your life, by all means, share that in ways that can be a blessing to others. So I do invite you to this Sunday's worship services. We have a 9 o'clock service in our chapel, a 10:30 service in our sanctuary, also a live stream of the service on our church's YouTube channel at 10:30. And the theme for this Sunday is going to be the same old story. And that is actually based on a thin place moment that the disciple Peter had from our appointed Acts scripture reading. And that led the early church to have a new theological understanding that really opened up their opportunities to share their faith with people beyond their own inner circle. So speaking of sharing your faith, that's what we're going to be hearing about with the disciple Peter. So join us this Sunday as we focus on this worship theme, the same old story. And may God bless you as you continue to share your faith and to be open to how God is present in your everyday life.